Hey guys, welcome to episode 6. Today is all about shadow work and Hall of Mirrors. Welcome to Level Up to Glow Up. I'm Danielle Cotis, your host, your soul coach. I'm so excited for today. Hey everybody from TikTok, thank you so much for your follows. I'm so excited that you're here and you subscribe to this YouTube channel and my podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. So let's delve into it. So a lot of you woke up, right? We talked about this 5D consciousness, right? We're all about ascension and enlightenment and waking up into our spiritual abilities, into our highest potential, right? So what a lot of spiritual gurus aren't talking about is the shadow work. That ascending is not always all rainbows and butterflies, right? There is some deep healing work that needs to happen, healing of ourself right now, our past, our childhood, sometimes our ancestors and our past lives. So there is going to be some deep healing, lots of crying, lots of release, lots of letting go of the old or integrating it. There is going to be some lows, right? That's why a lot of you are like going from, yes, everything is possible to like, oh my God, this life sucks. I hate this, blah, blah. Why am I living like this? Oh, we can do anything, and back down, right? So you're kind of bouncing between the two dimensions, right? So we talked a lot about that. I think in the last episode is this bouncing between two dimensions. So in order for you to move fully up to this 5D consciousness and really embody this consciousness, which is really just an expansion of your brain, right? Your highest potential is that we have to let go and or integrate. I probably want to say integrate those shadow aspects of ourselves, right? Integrate the parts of us that we try to hide, right? So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks of how you can do this, how you can go through your shadow work, what that is, what people are talking about, what the Hall of Mirrors is, right? Like I didn't know all of this stuff when I first started my ascension journey like years ago. I didn't realize that there was going to be some work involved, okay? And that this work of letting go was going to be a little difficult, especially because our brain holds tight to things that it is like, it feels comfortable with, right? That it's like, no, we want to stay here. We don't want to move forward, right? So we really want to make sure that we are doing the work so that our subconscious brain can allow us to move into the new. So a lot of you ask me on TikTok about shadow work. So basically what it is, I really want you to look up Carl Jung and any kind of psychological aspects of shadow work, okay? As well as things like matrix reimprinting, soul retrieval, as well as, I'm trying to think, NLP. So I'm pretty sure I mentioned it last episode, but I'm not sure. My brain is all over the place today. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about it. Okay. So really, what is our shadow, right? It's the parts of ourselves, which could be light or dark, that we sort of push away and leave us, right? And it kind of is like parts of your soul gets pushed out, right? That's really the only way I can really put it. Again, I'm not an expert in this. This is just something that I've learned and read and watched and read books about. But in simplest terms, it's part of ourselves that we deny. Okay. I'll give you examples, like part of us that are toxic, right? Parts of ourselves that are a little darker or have darker thoughts, or parts of ourselves that are envious, jealous. Think of the 7 deadly sins, right? Any part of ourselves that we deny. And it could be that you're into, like, let's say witchcraft or tarot or something like that, and you're denying that part of yourself. Or maybe you had psychic abilities as a kid and you denied that part of yourself. Or maybe you were too outspoken, so you denied that part of yourself that was too outspoken. It's sort of like we deny certain aspects of ourselves, both good and bad. So in terms of shadow work, you're really calling in all parts of yourself, right? Because this ascension process is really to help you to see that you are already whole, just by being, right? And you can actually call all of these parts into you. Now, these are the parts of ourselves that underwent trauma, right? Underwent some sort of emotional distress or things like that, right? Parts of ourselves where we feel shame, we feel guilt, we feel like we're a bad person or whatever. I want you to think about the yin yang sign, right? So with the light, there is dark, right? And with the dark, there is light, and it balances itself out, okay? As we start to recall these parts of our soul, parts of our personality, stuff that we try to hide behind closed doors and start accepting about ourselves, we become even more whole, right? We realize that we have the power, that we are whole, right? And that we can love and embrace all sides of us, right? It took me a long time to understand this journey of self-love and what does that really mean to love yourself. And what it really means is to truly love the light and the dark parts of us, right? And accept the light parts and accept the dark parts, right? The divine masculine, the divine feminine, right? The light and the dark, the shadow and the light, or whatever you want to call it, so that our energies can dance in this sort of harmony, right? In this wonderful ebb and flow, and that we feel like we can finally accept ourselves. So how do we do something like this? Like how do we begin this? Well, I want to talk about something called the Hall of Mirrors. Okay, I'm not 100%. I should probably have written all this stuff down. But basically what it is your everybody around you is a reflection of you. Right? Everything that you see, you hear is a reflection of you on some level. Okay. There's also this theory that these people were you, right? In some sort of space and time, either will be in the future, will be in the past. And they're basically there to show you all aspects of yourself. So let's say you have a mentor or spiritual teacher or scientific teacher or something like that that you look up to, and you're like, oh God, I just love this person. Like, they're so personable, they're so funny, they're so, outspoken, they're brave, they're go-getter, they're driven, whatever. So the reason you like that person so much, right? And you're just like, I just want to be just like that person, is because they are literally mirroring the light aspects within you, right? Those personality traits and characteristics that you have in you. Now, some of those personality traits and characteristics and values and things like that have gone off to the side for one reason or the other. A lot of times it's because society programmed you not to be outspoken, not to be brave, not to go for your dreams, not to do this, not to do that, right? So you kind of let those other things fall away, or that it's scary to do that, or people won't like you, or whatever. So you basically, those parts you kind of hid away. But they are very much in you, and you can totally tap into that. So know that for a fact, right? The same is true. The people that trigger you the most, right? The ones that make you crazy, or that you talk about, or you gossip about, or you bitch about, or whatever. Those qualities and characteristics that you dislike so much in another person is a direct reflection of what's inside of you. Now, that sounds shitty, right? You're like, no, right? So I'll give you an example. I can give you several examples, but I will give you an example of, let's say, what I consider my twin flame. Who knows if that's even real or not, but I will consider it. Okay, my twin flame is literally a direct reflection of parts of me who I used to be, as well as parts of me of who I am right now. And you will find somebody who is literally a direct reflection of you, and that will catapult you into a giant spiritual awakening. Also, just the mere fact of looking around you right now, that seeing that all these people are a direct reflection of your good and bad, and that's not really true. It's light and shadow. There's really no bad aspects. Will literally show you how you can heal, right? What you need to heal, what needs to be done. Okay, so I'll give an example of my twin flame incident, right? Somebody who is non-committal, right? Scared of intimacy, player, right? Ghosts. I'm trying to think what else, like has addictive personalities, addictive behaviors, somebody who just has potential but doesn't go for it, complains about their circumstances, is a victim, right? Has lots of toxic tendencies, doesn't have a lot of money, things like that. Okay, so this person, is literally a direct reflection of me a number of years ago, and part of them are still a direct reflection of me right now. So whatever drives me crazy about this person is what I can't accept in myself, right? What I am not noticing that's in myself, right? So things that I noticed was that, yeah, I'm not vulnerable, right? I'm not as vulnerable as I can be, and I'm becoming that, right? I'm not as committed as I want to be, but now I'm becoming committed, right? I am not as intimate. I'm afraid of intimacy, but not anymore, right? I lie sometimes, right? Everybody lies. So notice that those things are within you, right? They are in you. And to deny them causes us a lot of pain and suffering, because when we accept them, we think we're going to feel shame and guilt. But what we find is that when we begin to accept them, we're like, okay, well, this either was a part of us, still is. And this is how we can begin to shift and make a change. This is how we can begin to say, okay, well, this is a part of ourselves, and we can begin to work on it. Sorry, my phone is going off. And we can begin to work on it. We can begin to see where this comes from, why we have it, where it stems from, and begin to heal, integrate, and start anew. And awareness is always key, right? So the best thing you can do is just become aware that the people who trigger you the most, right? There's a reason they trigger you the most. So let's say, for example, if somebody is disrespectful to you, one way you can look at it is, how are you disrespectful to yourself and to your body? Right? Or if somebody ghosts you, right? How do you ghost yourself? Or they abandoned you. How do you abandon yourself? Right? Also, another way to look is, how do you abandon other people? Right? Or disrespect other people? Because there's multiple aspects of it. Some of it is telling us, how are we doing that stuff to ourselves? And also, how are we doing that to other people? And we're lying to ourselves and saying that we don't do that, right? And we're bitching about this other person when we really do that stuff ourselves, right? If you're bitching about your partner not committing to you or being non-committal, like, where are you not committing to yourself? Like, to your goals, to your dreams, to being healthy, whatever, self-love, work, whatever. Or where are you not committed to other people? So like, sometimes if you're in at least I found this with myself, with my ex, is that I didn't even realize, but I was like, I was married. Keep in mind, 1 foot in the door, but 1 foot out the door, right? The entire relationship. It was almost like I subconsciously knew this was never going to work out, right? Like, we never combined our finances, like we didn't have any assets, none of that stuff together. It's almost like I got into a commitment, right? I was committed, but I really wasn't, right? I was like half in, half out, and same with him, right? So just notice that where you're bitching about somebody else, you have those issues as well, okay? So if you're in a toxic relationship, now this is going to be a hard truth because I was in it. I was a narcissistic abusive relationship, okay? You have the same toxic tendencies as the narcissist. It's just sort of flipped, okay? You have some toxicity too. And I will do a whole video on that. And that's the codependency is toxic, right? And if you're in a narcissistic abusive relationship or any kind of abusive toxic relationship, a lot of it stems from codependency. So you're going to ask yourself, instead of pointing the finger and be like, that's a terrible person, everybody should feel bad for me, which, you didn't realize you were in it. But now that you do, and now that you're out, the way to healing is to heal your codependency issues that stem from your childhood, right? So instead of being like, that's a terrible person, he's a horrible person, which they are, right? But look at the 3 fingers pointing back at you, okay? There's a whole lot of stuff that's going on within you that is toxic. And I know this is going to trigger a lot of people because you're going to be like, no, I'm the victim here. And I'm not saying that you're not, but something got you in that situation. Right? Lack of self-love, lack of self-respect, lack of commitment, lack of boundaries, right? Lack of assertiveness, lack of self-worth. Did I say that? All right. So, and you were looking for someone to come in and save you, whether it be emotionally, financially, things like that, right? And I'm saying this because I had to learn this lesson myself. Okay. So please, I'm not throwing stones in a glass house here. Like this, I had experienced myself, and it was a very hard truth for me to come to terms with. Like, shit, like I am kind of toxic. Like I might be worse than he is, And, I know as an empath, you're like, oh no, I'm not like that. Like I'm this wonderful soul. Well, it's the shadow work is starting to see that yes, you are very light, and yes, you are very giving, and you may be a light worker and things like that. But you also have toxic tendencies. And the more you push that away, and say and lie to yourself that that doesn't exist, the worse is going to get for you, right? You want to reel this back in. You want to be like, okay, I'm owning the fact that I did XYZ and I feel XYZ, right? I'm owning the fact that I got myself into this knowing, subconsciously knowing this is what I wanted, right? Subconsciously knowing that this was bad for me and I stayed because it was comfortable, right? So noticing that in every single person that you encounter, good or bad, right? Or light or shadow, light or dark, whatever's going on that triggers you happiness, right? Because the triggers could be happiness, joy, and you're like in awe, and you're like, yes, I love this person. And then the opposite is true. Like, if I hate this person, I hate this person. Now, some of you are going to be like, no, that's not possible. Well, take a look at it, okay? Because that's a psychological aspect of it. This is real. Sorry, my head itches. There is a scientific explanation, psychological explanation for this. Go and look it up, okay? And me triggering you right now, you really have to look at, why am I triggering you? Okay. And the real question you want to ask yourself is, what are you lying to yourself about? Right? So shadow work is all about seeing what's hidden, right? Sort of like the dark side of the moon, right? We can't see it, but we know it's there, right? And we want to see the other side. Right? You need to see what is hidden. Part of this ascension and this awakening is seeing parts of yourself that you've denied that are hidden, and things about your life and people that you have been hiding from yourself, okay? And if you are an empath and you want to see the good in people, okay, it's time that you start seeing the bad as well, the darkness, the shadow, okay? I can tell you from personal experience, I want to see the good in people. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, yes, this is the best person ever. Well, guess what? When I lie to myself about who a person really is, because as an empath, you absolutely know who a person is. You're extremely intuitive. You could probably read their aura and their brain in like 2 fucking seconds. But you decide to lie to yourself and say this is a good person. Or you decide to ignore the red flags. Or you decide to put yourself in a shitty situation because this is your friend, or this is your family member, or this is whatever, right? So that's where you're lying to yourself, right? And if you find yourself like I did, like being like, oh, I'm such a great person, like I'm so spiritual, like I'm so this, like that's like an ego thing, guys, okay? Nobody's better than anybody else. All right. We all got wounds. We all got issues. Don't forget, all of our ancestors, our past lives, and our childhood affects who we become. All right. So you're not better than the narcissist, really, at the end of the day. And I mean this in the best way possible, right? We're all the same. We're all the same. And once you can see the God, the what, I don't know what you guys believe in, but the spirit within, or the energy of another person, start seeing that other person, that they are a being of light, right? And they do have dark and they do have light, and you need to address all sides of this person, as well as you need to address all sides of yourself, so that you can make a conscious decision moving forward. Who should be allowed in your life, right? Who's worthy of your time and energy, right? How not to lie to yourself, how to notice the red flags, how to see a person for who they are. And, you know, you might have to love them from afar, right? Because if you choose to accept and love the dark aspects of yourself, or the shadow sides of yourself, right, you can learn to appreciate and honor and accept the other sides of people. So I'll give you an example. Like if you're watching a movie, a lot of people will see the bad guy, right? And be like, that's a terrible person. That's an evil person. Like they're killing people, blah, blah, blah. Now, well, I'll watch the show and I'll be like thinking to myself, like, damn, like he was abused as a child. Now, doesn't make what he's doing right in the movie, right? It does not make it right. But I will psychoanalyze this person. Like, why did he end up like this? Okay, I can totally empathize with why, if he got abused as a kid, sexually, physically, he was neglected, he was put in a cellar and beat up and, you know, neglected and starved to death. Like, you could totally see how this would lead to him being a serial killer, something crazy, okay? So you're seeing that there's dark aspects of people that their childhood wounds, like, brought out the worst in them, right? Does that make sense? I know I'm getting a little off topic, but being able to see somebody, how they got there, right? Because you have so many wounds too. So it's hard, like we're so quick to judge somebody who's like evil or bad, right? And I'm not saying that they're not bad people or evil people, right? I'm not really sure what I'm saying, but to be able to see the other side of them, like, okay, in everybody there's light and dark, and some life happens, right? And it causes people to pretty much go one way or the other, right? And to be able to be like, okay, that makes sense why they would do that. Now, does it make it right? Absolutely fucking not, right? Is that what they should be doing in society? No. But if somebody was there to guide them, right, to help them move through their traumas, to help them heal their past, they probably wouldn't have ended up like that. Okay. So anyway, that's a really extreme example. Let's use a smaller example. So if you are in a twin flame situation, right? Or rather, you're in a situation where somebody's mirroring all the negative aspects of yourself. Okay. This is really what's called the Hall of Mirrors, right? I'm trying to like bridge the gap here. They're mirroring that negative side of you. How do you work through that? How do you learn to accept that this is a part of you? And how do you begin to heal, right? And integrate those things, right? Okay. First step for everything is just awareness. Awareness that that person is your mirror, good or bad, right? Light or dark, dark or shadow, whatever. Person is a mirror. Now, what are they mirroring to you? Okay. Accepting awareness and accepting that that person is a mirror, right? Okay. Saying, okay, if you're so concerned with this toxic person, where am I toxic to myself? Where am I toxic to other people? All right. Saying, okay, I'm owning this fact, right? I'm owning like, shit, I am pretty toxic to myself, right? I do X, Y, and Z, or I don't do X, Y, and Z, and I'm pretty toxic to myself. I talk really negatively to myself. I'm not nice to myself. I don't eat as often as I should. I don't work out, or I don't reach for my goals. Like that's toxicity, right? So, and then looking at it on the other aspect, like if that person's not giving you enough care and attention, where are you not giving yourself enough care and attention? And also, where are you not giving other people care and attention, right? Because we sometimes expect people to give us things, right? That we don't give to ourselves. I really have to shut this off. That we don't give to ourselves. And then we also don't even give them to other people, right? So seeing where in your life all these things are occurring. I remember when I was getting out of my marriage that my coach would say, use your mirror, the person as your mirror, right? And be grateful that that mirror exists, because now you know what needs to be healed. You know what needs to be worked through. You know what needs to be accepted about yourself. Now, as you start to become aware of these things, you will learn to say, okay, well, this is a part of me, okay? And we don't necessarily want to cut it out, right? Because that's what we did in the past. We told ourselves we weren't this person, right? But we are. We all have this in us, right? We all have the light and the dark. So to say that you are completely a wonderful person is not 100% true. Like you cannot say that. You can't say that you never lied. You can't say that you never cheated on anything or through anything, right? You can't say those things because it's not 100% true. So stop lying to yourself that you are this amazing person. I mean, you are an amazing soul. Don't get me wrong, but there are parts of you that you need to integrate. And it's very important that you integrate this during your ascension process and that you learn where these things come from and why they're here, right? My goal is to help you live up to your fullest potential, right? Come back home to yourself, help you on your ascension journey, just like I am doing myself, right? So you need to integrate these parts of your soul. Give me a second. I need some. There's literally nothing in here, guys. Okay, so you need to integrate these parts of your soul. All right, so acceptance, right? Awareness and acceptance that this is what's going on, and where do you do this to yourself and to other people? All right, so use everybody as a mirror, good and bad. P.S. As you begin to change these things, life will become a lot easier. Okay. You will be able to just be like, I'm not taking any bullshit from anybody. Like, fuck it. Like, what? I don't give a shit what anybody says. Right. And you will be able to love people unconditionally. Okay. From afar, a lot of them are going to be from afar, but you will be able to love and accept and honor somebody else because you've learned to love, honor, and accept yourself. Right? That is the whole purpose of shadow work, of ascension, is to come back home to you, self-love, self-worth, deserving, right? Self-everything, okay? Becoming selfish, right? Okay? So love, honor, and accept yourself. You can love, honor, and accept somebody else, especially if they're toxic, from afar. If they are up your vibration, bring them in. Then you will start to see more people who mirror your self-acceptance and self-love. Right? So they will just automatically be drawn to you. You will draw in the people who are now in alignment with your vibration, right? What you've embodied in yourself. So you will find more and more people who have accepted the light and dark parts of themselves, right? Have retrieved parts of their soul back in, feel whole, right? And embody the wholeness and their fullest potential. So that's the really cool part. Now, when we get into shadow work with the mirrors, I want you to start using your parents or your caregivers, so when you're a child, as your shadow work, okay, your mirrors. What you dislike about your parents, or what they drives you crazy about them, or what they do that makes you crazy, or what they do that causes triggers and things like that, okay? I want you to start paying attention to what about your parents or your caretakers when you were a kid make you crazy, all right? Lots of the stuff that they're mirroring is going to be your old programming. Okay, remember we talked about changing the program, right? Your brain is super powerful. All we need to do is change the program. It's an old program. Okay, so they are literally going to mirror your old programming. Now, P.S. Twin Flames, they're mirroring your old programming. All right, so what you actually don't want, right? Your old programming of, let's say, toxic relationships, toxic marriages, toxic tendencies, things like that. So look where like what's happening there. So look at all of that. And I really want you to take in your brain this idea, okay, that maybe what your parents did or your exes did or caregivers or grandparents did, it was not correct. It does not make this okay. But if you can see it from a different perspective of how they ended up this way, right? So shadow work is going to be about forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of your caretakers, and forgiveness of others. Okay. So where I'm going with this is you want to start using all the people in your life that you maybe are holding a grudge against or feel negatively about. And I don't care what it's from, but you want to start seeing them for who they are. Okay, their whole self, right? Not who you think they should be, not who you fantasize of them to be, not someone that, not that you're not seeing their potential, seeing them for who they are, right? The light and the dark aspects. So seeing them and accepting them for who they are. That is an extremely difficult task. I will tell you, I'm still working on this for other people and myself, right? Because as we learn to honor and accept ourselves, we honor and accept other people and vice versa, right? So start using them as a way to begin to heal. So figure out what's going on there, right? What happened there and why did they become the way they are? Right? This is not saying that what they did is okay or whatnot, but it's helping you understand that maybe they came from a really hard household. Maybe they got beat. Maybe they did X, Y, and Z, right? All generations are trying to do better each generation, right? Every generation that has kids tries to do better. Some people stay asleep. Some people wake up and start changing their beliefs, their thought patterns, and things like that and their actions. But some people don't because they don't have the knowledge and information like we do in 2021, right? Like, come on now. So start seeing them for maybe why they ended up this way. Like, why did that happen, right? And start looking at the aspects of them that you complain about all the time, right? Because that is somewhere in you. I know this is so hard to take in. You guys are like, no, I just want to get off. I don't want to listen to this. This is not what I thought it was going to be. But stay with me here, okay? So you want to see what those aspects are, okay, that are within you so that you can kind of meet them halfway, all right? And not only do you want to meet them halfway, but you want to find a way to forgive them, okay? Because you're holding on to so much pain, right? as you forgive them and you forgive yourself, right, for your toxic tendencies or your shadow side or whatever you've denied in your light, right? Maybe your parents told you, like I said, too outspoken, or you'll never amount to anything, or things like that. Like learning to forgive them because they're running on programs too, right? Think about their program, right? This is what I used to do with moms. Think about their programming that they received as a child that got passed down to you, okay? That programming sometimes is not necessarily their fault, right? Of course, it's their fault in a sense that they could have changed it, or they could still change it and they're choosing not to. But sometimes they weren't aware that that was an option to change it, right? So they instilled those same beliefs in you. And a lot of times they didn't do it maliciously, right? Your subconscious runs 95 to 98% of your life. So if it's programmed in there, it's not like they're purposely doing that. It just, this is part of their program. So now it's part of your program, right? So we need to find a way to learn some forgiveness towards them, and then learn some forgiveness towards ourselves. Okay. All right. Let me just take a deep breath for a second. Okay, how do you do shadow work? Okay, there's several different ways. Like I said, you can go to therapy, you can go to energy healer, you can go to a soul retrieval, you can do matrix re-imprinting, you could do NLP re-imprinting, things like that. You can also journal about it, right? So just journaling and noticing your toxic tendencies, right? Or the darker sides of you, and accepting that they're there, and then making a conscious effort to do better, right? So I'll give you an example. If your person is not committed to you, right, or you've dealt with infidelity in the past or something like that, or you're going to find where you don't commit to yourself and where you don't commit to other people, and you're going to start committing to yourself. That's what I did. Start committing to myself, right? Then start committing to like a project, or committing to a goal, or committing to a relationship, or committing to helping somebody out, or committing to texting people back, right? If you feel like other people are disrespectful of you, like how can you be more respectful to yourself? How can you be more respectful to others, right? So whatever the toxic tendency is, or and I hate to say toxic because that's not necessarily true, but whatever that trigger is, how can you begin to change that moving forward? How can you change it today? How can you give yourself more love, right? So if you're like, oh, this person doesn't care and love me, right? Well, where do you not care and love yourself? How can you start doing things to care and love for yourself, right? Shadow work is a great way to learn how to do self-love, right? And self-care, and take care of yourself and heal your wounds and things like that, and show up for yourself, right? So if somebody else isn't showing up for you, how can you show up for yourself? So the whole idea of shadow work is to really integrate, and change how you're going to move forward, right? And how are you going to be in this moment, right? If these things are not acceptable anymore in other people, right, you have to change them within yourself, because what's inside your subconscious is directly reflected outside into your world. So you want to make sure that we're healing these things, okay? I'm also going to go through some other things, but for time's sake, again, the emotional freedom technique you can use, okay, right here. All right, look that up. EFT tapping. All right. We talked about NLP, neurolinguistic programming, is a great way to go through shadow work. You can use hypnosis. You can use past life regression. And I will do my best to leave some links below with some more information about how you can do the shadow work. Okay. I will also make some more videos for you guys separate from the podcast on YouTube and TikTok that will help you with your shadow work. So I will be specific in what you should be doing or what you can be doing. But I really want you to have an overall view of really what the shadow is and that it's okay to accept these parts of you. Okay. It does not mean that you're going to become this person. It's just to be aware that they exist, and that's okay. And that, if sometimes you do become envious or jealous, like, just accept that that's a part of you, but then also see that there's a lighter part of you that is genuinely happy for somebody else, right? Is genuinely joyful for them, and you feel grateful for them. Like so to just use this as knowing that it's okay to have all these aspects of yourself. And if you did some shady shit in the past, like, accept that. Like, I talk about this all the time. Like, life is a game, right? We're here to learn and make mistakes and grow. So learning, if you did some shady shit, like, forgive yourself. Like, it's okay. Like, you're going to be fine. Like, you're not going to hell. You're not a terrible person. Like, you made a fucking mistake. Maybe you made 100 mistakes. Well, the great thing about life, that is the game, is you can learn from them and make better choices that are aligned with you, right? That make you feel good, that make you feel proud of yourself, that make you feel self-love and happiness and joy, right? So whatever, that shady parts of yourself that you try to deny and you hide from the world, right? You want to start pulling that back in. Now, if you don't know what you're hiding from yourself, and this is a really great way to look it up, I want you to look up your astrological chart, okay? And I want you to see what your sun and moon and rising signs are, okay? So your sun is, I think it's what you showed to the world. Your moon, don't quote me, astrologers help me if I'm wrong. Your sun rising is what you show your friends and family members, and your moon is what you don't show the world. If you start getting in touch with this moon aspect of you, okay, like I'm a Scorpio moon, okay? This is like exactly what I'm doing right now. Cultism, right? Woo-woo stuff, right? Like, okay? The dark sides of your soul, like digging deep, right? Okay? So once you can accept that this is a part of you, right? And that this is who you are, and then that's okay. Like, you don't need everybody else to accept who you are. You need to be honest and intimate and open with yourself and be okay with who you are. Finally, right? Because what you've been doing is hiding between your sun mask and your rising mask, right? So we got to take these masks off and become who we really are, okay? And in my case, it's my moon sign, okay? Another great thing that you can do is you can look up this what's it called? The app is called The Pattern, okay? And again, it goes based on your astrological chart, and it gives you a lot of information about who you are, right? Or who you've been in the past or in past lifetimes, and maybe what your tendencies are, okay? What I want you to realize about these three things is they're going to tell you who you are, right? It's like a personality test, all right? It will give you a great idea of who you are right now and who you've been. This is awesome. It will help you to see what you've dealt with as a child, what needs to be healed, what you're dealing with right now, what needs to be healed, all of your personality traits. Now, what's awesome is if we know where we are and we know where we've been, we can alter where we're going, right? So that doesn't necessarily have to be you, right? You can decide who you want to be. Now, I decided to embody my Scorpio moon. But you don't have to do that. I just find that was a great way to find myself and integrate all of my different identities, right? And be like, well, I'm all these things and nothing at all, right? And I can decide who I want to be moving forward. I can decide the identity I want to have, the life I want to have moving forward. But I needed to heal what's happening here, accept what's happening here, heal what happened in the past, accept what happened in the past. And I'm still doing that. I feel like it's a continuation as each ascension level goes up. You're going to have to go through all this again. Okay. But each time it's going to get easier. It's going to be less crazy, less amount of crying and things like that. Right. And it's okay to release the emotions. It's okay to do that. Right. And then accept that this is what's happened, heal it, and say, this is what I want moving forward. This is who I want to be now. Right. Okay. I hope this was super helpful for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and hit the subscribe button. Share with your friends. If you're watching on the podcast, please subscribe. I love you all on TikTok. I'm sending you so much love. I love all of you. And until next time.